Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on our channel, Who Died Today American? We're back with more tributes. In this video, we have a list of American stars who passed away in the last few days, or just recently. Number 1. John Edward Robinson. John Robinson, who is one of the most notable figures in the history of USC football, died Monday at the age of 89. USC announced he died due to complications from pneumonia. Robinson served as the Trojans' head coach twice, from 1976 to 1982, and again from 1993 to 1997 on separate occasions. Leading USC to the national championship in the 1978 campaign was his proudest experience with the program. Paul McDonald, the quarterback for the championship team, stated, "I think the thing that I'll remember about Coach Robinson is that the bar was very, very high in terms of expectations, and he was right in the middle of it," according to Bruce Feldman of The Athletic. These men that stood in the tower weren't him. He was right in the thick of things, showing how to move, block, and tackle. He thought the game's physicality was fantastic. We were a very physically strong team because that's what drew him in. His entire strategy was to wear down the other men, which was a very clever move because flash doesn't win games. You use striking people in the mouth to win games. Although the 1978 squad took home the title, 4 members of his 1979 squad, Bruce Matthews, Marcus Allen, Ronnie Lott, and Anthony Munoz, were inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Famers. Robinson guided the Trojans to continuous success and finished 104-35-4 overall. In addition to winning 4 Rose Bowl crowns and 5 Pac-10 titles, he is the only coach in program history with more victories than Howard Jones and John McKay. He was voted into the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame in 2004 after winning all 4 of his Rose Bowl games with USC. Along with winning 2 Pac-10 Coach of the Year awards and 1 National Coach of the Year award, he was elected into both the College Football Hall of Fame and the USC Athletic Hall of Fame in 2009. Robinson played at Oregon and helped guide the Ducks to the Rose Bowl in the 1958 season, although he is most intimately linked to USC. Prior to attending USC, he spent 12 years as Oregon's offensive coordinator after his undergraduate career ended in 1960. Before serving as head coach of the Los Angeles Rams for 9 seasons from 1983 to 1991, he eventually worked as an assistant coach with the Oakland Raiders in 1975 and as an NFL coach. In 1985 and 1989, the Rams teams combined for a 75-68 record and made it to the NFC Championship game. Robinson continued to play collegiate football, serving as head coach of UNLV from 1999 to 2004 before serving as a senior consultant and helping lead the 2019 LSU Tigers to the national championship. His wife, Beverly, 4 children, 2 stepchildren, and 10 grandchildren survive him. Number 2. Paul Morrissey. The avant-garde filmmaker. Paul Morrissey, who oversaw the Velvet Underground in the middle of the 1960s and worked on Andy Warhol's films Chelsea Girls, Flesh, Trash, and others, passed away on Monday. He was 86. Morrissey passed away in a Manhattan hospital from pneumonia, according to his archivist Michael Chaikin, who spoke to the New York Times. From 1965's My Hustler to 1974's Blood for Dracula, also known as Andy Warhol's Dracula, Morrissey and Warhol worked together on a number of ultra-low-budget films that were centered on the NYC subculture. Their experimental films, on which Morrissey frequently worked as an editor and cameraman, frequently included amateur actors like Candy Darling and Joe Dallesandro, and were typically improvised rather than scripted. The 1970 film Trash, which starred Holly Woodlawn as a junkie gigolo and Dallesandro as his wife, was their biggest commercial hit, if that's a relative term. Lonesome Cowboys from 1968 and Heat and Women in Revolt from 1972 are 2 more Morrissey-Warhol pictures. After the 2 split up in 1974, Morrissey would later minimize Warhol's output. In 1987, Warhol passed away. Morrissey, who later worked as Warhol's business manager, was a key figure in the early development of the NYC avant-rock band Velvet Underground, whose distinctive sound was either exciting or obnoxious, depending on who you questioned. The group's label, Verve Records, was confused by their self-titled debut album, which included German singer and model on multiple tracks. As a result, the disc's release was postponed for over a year. Despite barely making the Billboard 200 in 1967, this album, which featured Warhol's painting of a banana on the cover, went on to become one of rock's most well-known and significant releases. The band, which included Lou Reed, John Cale, and others, was briefly led by Morrissey. Morrissey, who was born in New York City on February 23, 1938, began producing 16mm short films in the 1950s. He operated an underground theater where he screened both his own and other films after serving in the Army. Following his breakup with Warhol, Morrissey produced a number of more films, such as 40 Deuce, 1982, which starred Kevin Bacon in his first significant big-screen appearance, and The Hound of the Baskervilles, 1978, which starred Peter Cook as Sherlock Holmes and Dudley Moore as Watson. News from Nowhere, 2010, was his last motion picture. The Times reported that Morrissey is survived by a brother, Kenneth Morrissey, and several nieces and nephews. Number 3. David Harris. After breaking out with the 1979 cult classic, Harris went on to have several recurring roles on TV, most notably as Officer Simmons on NYPD Blue. According to the New York Times, David Harris, an actor best remembered for playing Cochise in The Warriors, passed away on Friday, October 25th. His age was 75. The actor's daughter, Davina Harris, told the site that her father passed away from cancer in his New York City residence. The Warriors made its theatrical debut in 1979 and went on to become a cult favorite in the decades that followed. Harris portrayed Cochise, a Coney Island gang member, in the action thriller based on Sol Urich's 1965 book. Cochise is sent to Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx as a member of a delegation entrusted with splitting up gang areas in New York City. However, Cochise, who is renowned for his red bandana headband, teal beaded necklace, and feather embellishments, and his fellow warriors must battle their way through a number of enemies as they try to return to Brooklyn after being falsely accused of killing the leader of another gang. Critics mainly criticized it, despite the fact that movie was a moderate box office hit at the time. Nevertheless, in the decades that followed, the Warriors managed to establish themselves in the popular culture zeitgeist. The Simpsons, Community, and Bob's Burgers episodes have made the most notable references to it. Chad Stahelski, the director of John Wick, Chapter 4, admitted to CBR that it had a big impact on his work on the Keanu Reeves action movie. Harris, who went on to have success on television, appearing in shows like In the Heat of the Night and Hill Street Blues, was widely known for his now iconic performance in the 1979 movie. In a 2019 interview with Adamic Radio, Harris stated, "I was in Tokyo, I was in Hong Kong, and I was in the Philippines. When I step off the plane, people say, 'It's the guy from The Warriors,' even though I've acted in a number more films." Following The Warriors, Harris starred as Private Smalls in A Soldier's Story, 1984, Dwayne Spivey opposite Robert Redford in Brubaker, 1980, and Raphael with Whoopi Goldberg and Sam Elliott in Fatal Beauty, 1987. From 1993 to 2002, he also starred in 17 episodes of NYPD Blue as Officer Donnie Simmons. Variety reports that Harris is survived by his two brothers, Arthur and Vincent Harris, his sister, Jeanette Harris Zwerin, his mother, Maud Marie Harris, and two grandkids. Number 4. Brian Wheeler sports blogger John Canzano reports that Brian Wheeler, a radio commentator for the Portland Trail Blazers, passed away on Friday following a protracted illness. For 21 years, Wheeler called 1,823 Blazers basketball games for Portland after joining the team in 1998 as the play-by-play voice. His love for the game and passion for the Trail Blazers came through in every radio call, making every play a thrill for every listener tuning in, the Blazers said in a statement released on Saturday. "We cherish Wheel's post-win statement, and once again, we can say, it's a great day to be a Blazer, as we grieve his departure." Due to illness, Wheeler missed the most of the 2018 to 2019 season's games and never returned. He was replaced by Travis Demers. "I want to thank the Portland Trail Blazers for the incredible opportunity and honor of calling radio play-by-play for the past 21 years, Wheeler stated in a 2019 news release. "Being a Blazer for 21 seasons was an honor and a blessing, and thankfully, I have some priceless memories that will last a lifetime." Wheeler will listen to every game once he steps down in 2019, Demers said. KGW on Friday. "The world lost a great man today," Demers went on. "He served as my mentor. He truly went above and above to assist me in putting on the greatest broadcast possible. He was more than just a generation's voice." Demers promised to pay tribute to Wheeler by incorporating his well-known song Boom Shakalaka into his show. Echoing Demers, journalist Kerry Eggers, a 45-year veteran of Portland sports journalism, said, "KGW, we lost a good man. He was humorous, kind, and enjoyable to be around." Wheeler is 62 years old, and Eggers, who sat in front of him in the press box and spent time with him outside of work, called him a personality and a character. We would hear some four-letter words coming out of his mouth with some of the referee's calls, Eggers recalled, recalling a moment when Wheeler, full of enthusiasm, knocked over a monitor on his desk. He was a man who enjoyed playing with words. When other coaches requested a timeout, he would use alliterative triplicates to describe them, such as, Greg Popovich is humiliated, humbled, and harassed, or Jerry Sloan is discouraged, dejected, and defeated. He took pride in being a Blazers supporter. Most of the time, his players loved him as much as he loved them. Wheeler, also called Wheels, started off as a sportscaster in Chicago before relocating to Seattle and then settling in Portland. In addition, he taught sports broadcasting for Portland-based Sports Management Worldwide, an online sports professional training program.